Hi everyone, welcome back to All Forward Overland and episode 4 of Overland Garage. Today we're doing the chop. Yeah, it's reached that time. We're actually going to do the chop on the chassis. Got it all marked up. Process for doing this, as I've never done it before, so this is my process for doing it. I'm going to weld some legs on the chassis for a start, so when I cut it, it just doesn't all fall into a heap. I've got these offcuts. I'm going to weld one there and one here out of the way of where I'm going to be working. I've also got to drill a bunch of holes, fairly substantial holes, like here, here and here, and the same on the other side and on the back side, because I need to do a lot of plug welding on this to get the strength back in it. The cutting of it, not so hard. These chassis are only 2mm thick. So this is 2mm, that's 2mm. It's only a 2mm box. It is not going to take a lot of cutting, trust me. But yeah, first thing, drill a bunch of holes, weld some legs on. So like I was just saying, I'm going to drill 3 holes either side, same on the back side, for plug welding. So when the plate goes, I'm going to do this in a sandwich, so it's going to be a box inside a box. It'll come clear as I'm doing it. Ow, I missed. Yeah, so there'll be 6 on the back side as well. So that once I get the plate in, get it clamped, I can plug weld the plate in place, put another plate over that. That'll get plug welded as well. Then it'll be seam welded and then seam welded again. So hopefully super strong. It'll be, like I was just saying, this is 2mm thick. What I'm putting in is going to be 5mm thick. So should be a lot stronger. And it's not when you say it's not in a structural piece, obviously it's a structural piece, but it's one of the areas is going to have least amount of stress. And plus, once we've got that on, that's going to get welded back on as well, so that's going to give even more strength. So I haven't got any worries about it, so let's get on, let's drill some holes. So I'm just starting off the pilot drill. There's a reinforcing piece there. Just hit the edge of it. Okay, that's the first bunch of holes drilled for my plug welds that I'll be using later on. I think I may make these a bit bigger. I think they're 10mm at the moment. I think I may open them up to 12. You can't have too big a plug weld. There's nothing here. There's nothing there. There's a reinforcing piece that runs. I had originally done them that way. I've had to do them that way because there's a reinforcing piece there. And I'm not going to be able to, I can cut that piece out, I'll be able to get the plasma torch in, just open it up so I can slide my piece of metal in. But that far back I won't be able to, so I've changed the pattern slightly. It won't make any difference, as long as it's a plug weld, it'll do the job. So yeah, there's just going to be that piece, and the same on the other side. There's a triangular section in there. So next thing, weld the legs on, and then we're going to cut this in half, and then there's definitely no going back. they'll just help us, well, they will support it when I do the cut. So yeah, they're in. I'll do the same on the other side. Well, that's all the legs welded on, so there's nothing else for it now. I'm going to cut the chassis in two. And like I said before, I've never done this before. This is my first time I've done a chassis. I've done loads of chassis repairs, pieces on, half chassis. It can't be that much different than doing a half chassis, really, can it? It's just got to be square. But you could balls it up big time. So, yeah. I'll put a cutting disc on. And we'll ruin it together. I'm sure it'll be fine. Honest. I mean, really, what's the worst that can go wrong? Definitely broken now. There's a reinforcing piece on the inside still holding that together. It might not be actually. It's moving a lot. It may just be tucked across. I may have just nicked the end off it. Let's cut the other side and see if it comes apart. This is laminated as well. So what I'm going to do is laminate the repairs. It's already been laminated. This is already 6mm thick, or at least 5mm thick. So yeah, I've cut through a really strong bit. It's definitely apart, guys. It's about to fall over as well, so I need some more weight on it. Just stick that there, that'll do. Well, that's first. I've never cut 1 and 2 before, but it looks like we've missed. Hang on, we've missed all the bits that tie other bits together. There's a reinforcing piece here, and this is laminated, and I'm assuming because there's a seatbelt mount just here in front of it, but we won't be affecting that, but I will have to cut some of it out to get my laminating in, because that is, well, that looks like 3, so that's 5mm, and that's what I'm putting back in is 5mm. So yeah, let's pull this apart and I'll show you what's inside the chassis. This one's about to fall over that way. I need to get some more weight on the back of it. I might put the chain on the front just to hold the front up. That's kind of interesting. Alright, there's some angle welded all the way up the chassis on the inside to give it extra strength. So this is 2mm, like I thought it was, and that's 3mm angle. So that's going to cause a little bit of problem. I can still put my laminating piece in here underneath and probably put another piece of angle on the inside. Weld that. I'll have to work it out, but I can definitely do my laminating here. I can put another piece in here. Look at all the crud in that chassis. It's full all the way back there. I'm going to have to empty all that rubbish out of this chassis, but other than that, it's pretty good. So all the strength is in this angle at the top. So not in the box section itself, it's in these pieces here. Let's have a look on the other side. So the other side, exactly the same, except it's got that reinforcing piece in, which we can take out and move. It'll go back in, but it'll just be in a different place. So not too bad. I have to adjust how I'm going to do it slightly, but we can still do it. Well, I've got a walk-through chassis. I don't think that's a thing, but it obviously is now. I've had a look at this and it's going to be a lot harder than I thought. Like I said, I've never done this before. It's the first time I've ever done an actual chassis chop. It's not that much different than doing a half chassis replacement, really. You're just grafting two bits together, aren't you? As long as they're square and straight, it's pretty much the same as putting a half chassis on, you know, a Defender or a TD5 Discovery doing a half chassis. But yeah, this missing bit here is approximately 15 inches. And that is how big I'm stretching it, for two reasons. Now, you know, we cut the body mount off there, so that body mount needs to hold the body. Well, the cab will actually finish there, so that's why it's a 15-inch stretch, because otherwise it lands in the middle of the radius arm. I would have done a 10-inch stretch, but it falls right on where the radius arm is. Unless you start grafting bits off the radius arm and down, and it gets very convoluted, it's easier to put that extra 5 inches in. I say it's easier to put that extra 5 inches in. There's almost a what's it in there, isn't there? But yeah, it's going to be a 15-inch stretch, so this is going to be a 115-inch chassis. It's going to be monstrous, let's face it. Chain! It's going to be huge when it's done. That's what she said anyway. But yeah, I'm going to get this, I'm going to plasma cut these reinforcing bits out of the inside because they're going to be in my way. These, I've checked, these are 3mm. They're 3mm angle on the inside that reinforces this top corner, obviously to stop it collapsing. Well, I'm going to do 3mm all the way around. It's going to be a 3mm box, plug welded, welded on the inside, welded on the outside, and then an outer box welded on in 2mm on the outside. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of metal going back in this spot, and there's going to need to be. It's got to be done right. So yeah, I'm going to get on with this. I'm going to get it cleaned. I'll bring you back when I've got all the insides cleaned and I've started cutting up some plates. But otherwise it's just me with a plasma cutter and a brew for quite a while. I've done it to myself again, haven't I? Oh well. Oh wow. It's probably been 3-4 hours since I last had the camera on. I got carried away. I ended up cutting out the reinforcing pieces from inside the chassis. All 8 of them. Don't need that one. They're actually 4mm. They're 4mm reinforcing pieces, but they only run on the top strap, so they're to stop the chassis get bending that way. Yeah, to stop it compressing. But what we're putting back in is going to be much stronger. So that can all go in the scrap. I've cut them off on the inside with the plasma cutter. and then I've welded them back to the inside of the chassis. So where I've cut them with the plasma cutter, cleaned them up and just welded them to the chassis, so they're tied back into that piece of chassis. So I'm now going to cut a piece of 3mm plate, which obviously that long, whatever distance that is, I haven't measured it. Slide it inside the chassis and clamp it, and do the same on the other side and clamp it in place, so that I can then get measurements. This is, this gap on both sides is 15 inches. Whether it's straight, whether it's out across the chassis is another thing. So I need to get one end welded, so I'm going to weld one end in place so that I can literally slide the chassis up and down it. Get it level across there with the level, get it level in all planes, weld it in, but just leave it clamped on the other end so I can move it around and adjust it. And that should get me, pretty much where I need to be. So once I've got those on the inside, another day in the shop. In fact, I've been in here for a few hours. I've been welding these braces in. It's been challenging. I'll give it that. To get it all square again. It's kind of weird. It's like, it's not the fact of getting it square. It's the fact that if you actually measure off any of the bits on the chassis, they're all within a few mil. So the engine mounts, if you measure from one point to another point, they're not exactly in the same place, because it was all just put together in a jig and welded up, so everything's got a little bit of movement. But I'm within, from that corner to there, to there, to there, and here, 3mm, 4mm tops. So it's pretty square. Given the fact that this seatbelt mount compared to that seatbelt mount, this one's, which way round is it? This one is 5mm, 5 or 6mm more this way if you measure it from the front of the chassis. So they were blobbed on and just welded. So it's really difficult to find something that's exactly square. So I've gone off body mounts. So I've used the body mounts up at the front to the cross member here, and then that rear cross member. Can you see it, this one here? That one, because that one I haven't cut off, that's factory. So that's where it was when it was made. And I've used diagonal measurements, and we're pretty good, within 3-4mm. So I'm going to cut some plates now, put the big plate in here and start putting this back together. I've been inside the chassis this morning with the die grinder, just smooth out my welds from yesterday, so that when I put the plate in I can re-weld where I've already welded the bracer bits in. And it's just been a long morning getting this ready, but it's one of them. You want it right, don't you? It's got to be right first time, because I aren't unwelding it to put it right after. Here's my first piece. This is a piece of 3mm plate. So that is going to go in there like that. Get clamped and plug welded. So I'm going to plug weld that in first, and then there's going to be an outer plate on the outside as well. So lots and lots of metal in this. So first job, get it all clamped in and get it all welded up. Well, get it all plug welded. That's where that wants to be. It's actually hitting the bracer on the inside, so that's where that needs to be. Perfect there. Right, I'll get some clamps. I may have got a little bit carried away. I've welded the first piece in. So that's plug welded and then welded on the inside as well. Now, when I say got carried away, I went and did both of them on this side. Again, that's the plug welds. That's obviously the flat plate. Plug welds. You can't really see the welds on the inside because I haven't got a light, but yeah, it's welded on the inside as well. You can see where it's burnt through here, where it's got red hot, where I've been welding. That's where it's tied back into this strengthening rail So it's all tied back together. So now I'm going to put probably a bracer piece on the inside to stop this being flexy. So put something in between there, wedge it in, weld that in. That'll turn that into a rigid box. Then it's got to have the top. I'll leave the bottom until I can flip the whole lot over, and I'll weld that from the other side. That's going to be easier. Then I'll come back round and put the outer skin on. So I'm going to put that one in now. We're definitely getting there, look at that. I've sort of semi-boxed this side in. This is the inner box. That's the 3mm. Sorry, that was out of shot for you. Yeah, but that's the 3mm. These are just tacks. I'm going to weld that from the back side. It's still got to have the outer skin on, which is all going to be plug welded, and all the other fun things that's got to have done to it. But yeah, that's just an open box, so I can get in on the inside. Right, I'm now going to tackle the other side. I'm going to plug weld the outer skin on the inner skin on that one, but I've got to cut it. So one more bit of plasma cutting. I'm feeling more confident, honest. Right, I've cut out this support that I put in originally to hold it all together, because this back plate is welded in. Actually, I do need to back weld it before I do anything else. But these are dead easy to put in. I put a notch in this end because it's actually a bit long. I didn't cut the reinforcing off far enough, but it makes it a lot easier to weld this to the reinforcing piece. So, like I thought I could do, it's literally a case of that, and clamp it, get the clamps in, plug weld, and then seam weld. I mean, the chances of any of you ever having to do this, quite slim I would have thought, but just sort of show you how I was doing it at least. But that's it, plug weld, seam weld the inside, join to that, and then put the top strap on and a bracer on the inside. Then we'll wrap weld, seam weld this all in, and then there'll be another skin to go on the outside that will be plug welded and seam welded in. Yeah, there you go. Right, first job, I better seam weld that in on the inside before I forget. You can stay over there, and I'll do some really difficult weld. It's not the easiest place to weld inside the chassis. Wow, I have done so much work on this today. It's insane how much work there is to do. You would not think putting that section in would be so difficult, but it really is. And I've had everything around here is subject to change, and I am changing this up a little bit. The outer skin that I was going to do in 2mm, I'm now doing in 3. For the simple reason I cut these 2 strips to go on the underside, and I've welded them on top. So I'm just going to wrap the whole thing in 3mm now. I might as well just encase this whole section in 3mm. Now, I've had another thought as well. Because I don't want this to ever break again. Not that this one's ever broke. I broke this one. But I don't want this to break. The back section here, so from like there to there, as I've got to go and get some more 3mm, I'll dress those welds up where I've put the plug welds in, just grind them off flat, grind all the paint and rust off there, and I'm going to laminate, so plug weld and seam weld another piece of 3mm over the top of the box that I'm already putting in, the box that's on the inside. So the inside of this will be 9mm thick of laminated steel. That's an insane amount of strength, so I'll never worry about this breaking ever, or rusting through for that matter. So like I said, I'm just going to dress it all the way back, and I'm going to laminate another cover over that, so there'll be 3 layers of 3mm. This side, I've got the body mount to weld back on here, so this joint is going to have the body mount welded to it. And I'm just going to, this will be 3mm again, so this will be 6mm thick. But I'm just going to I'll just weld a diamond in here, dress this up and just put a diamond over this joint. even though it's plug welded, laminated and all the other bits. Belt and braces, so that the keyboard warriors don't go that you can't do that, it'll break. Yeah, it won't. So I'm wrapping it up for today, guys. I'm absolutely knackered. It's been a long day, and I've got to turn the chassis over yet because I need to start welding because I've got to back weld all this. The bottom's still open, so I've got to get it the inside and back weld all the bits I've done. Joy. Get you some of this, guys. I've actually welded it all up. 7 hours of welding and cutting. It took me all of yesterday. So what I ended up doing was, this is 6mm double laminated. So 6mm double laminated, plugged, box inside a box. 6mm double laminated, box inside a box. Reinforcing plate, just for aesthetics. I didn't really need that, but I just thought I'd put it on. Same on the underside, so 6mm thick. Ended up not using the 2mm, except for on the back side. That's tri-laminated steel now, so that's 3mm, 2mm, 6mm. That's 8mm thick in the middle. Plug welded, seam welded, the works. Come get you some of that. That's never going to break. Just look at that. 115 inches long wheelbase. That is insane. What have I done? Welding's almost done. Just got to put the body mounts on. That's what the frame's back on for, so I can put the body mounts on. I'll probably do that later today. I've got some, just got to patch weld that where I burnt through with the plasma cutter. And then we've just got to put the uprights on for the tray. So there's going to be one there, one somewhere there, one where my earplugs are sitting there. And that'll be the tray support. Water tank's got to go on, so frame's got to be welded in for the water tank. And this is ready for shot blasting. What a job. Yeah, I thought I'd have a break from the welding. I am burnt all over the place. I burnt my bloody arm again today. Went and put my arm on a hot piece of metal. Joys of welding. But I thought I'd get the canopy off so that I can get to the water tank. I can get the canopy off on my own now because I made a set of screw jacks to lift it off with. God, it's bright out here. There we go. I'll show you how they work. Yeah, set of screw jacks bolt onto the canopy. They've got literally a screw jack at the bottom. Just lift the canopy off. I can actually take this off on my own now. Something I've been working on for ages. These canopies were always designed to be demountable, and I could never work out quite how to get the jack to work properly until I saw an Australian truck on Instagram, how theirs worked, and basically I've just copied it. It's just a triangulated box. These are super strong 3mm steel. It's actually the leftover 3mm steel from doing the chassis, so there's none left over now. I used it all, and these are just the bits I was using to brace it, so everything's been recycled. So get you some of that, Greta. Everything's recycled. So yeah, I can lift this off. So I'll show you how they bolt on the other side. Literally, they're held on with 3 bolts because this canopy's not that heavy. It's heavy enough that you don't want to pick it up on your own, but those bolts line it all up. This one goes in the other side. and that's how simple they are to put on. Super solid. Considering that's the first time I've tried those jacks. There's a gap under the canopy. That's the first time that canopy's been off in, well, since we built it. Sound that is. Solid as. I can drive the truck out from under that now. That's ace. I guess if you wanted to make it stronger, you could put a riv nut in there and a strap across to bolt the legs together, but it's yeah, they're sound, those are. I reckon I could get the roof tent back on now. Wow, that's cool. So with that, guys, the first time the canopy's been off since we built this truck on the other channel, I'm going to wrap this episode up. In the next episode, we're going to be cutting that tray off, getting the water tank out, finishing the welding on the other chassis for the uprights for the new tray, and hopefully shipping that off to the shop blasters. So if you've enjoyed this episode, guys, give me that thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next one.